Tonight at the Chokeslam Wrestling Report, I'm going to be talking about a situation that is happening right in front of our eyes and is occurring in AEW. And I'm talking about a famous group from back in the 80s. Are they going to form together in AEW? And I'm talking about the resurrection of the Four Horsemen. I got that and much more on the Chokeslam Wrestling Report. Welcome back, guys. This is the Ultimate One coming to you live from New York City, and we're definitely going to be talking about a subject that a lot of people are not talking about it, or they pretend they don't see it, or they have not noticed. But I'm talking about a situation that's been happening in AEW with a couple of wrestlers throwing up the four fingers, and I'm talking about that famous group from the 1980s, the Four Horsemen. Now, you may be wondering, why am I talking about the Four Horsemen at AEW? Well, let me give you a history lesson here of what's been going on since AEW has been in the wrestling industry less than a year, probably about 10 months. I remember when Cody Rhodes wrestled Shawn Spears. And of course, Shawn Spears at that time was being managed by Tully Blanchard. Remember, that was the chair shot heard around the world when he cracked Cody over the head with that chair, cracked him wide open in his match against Darby Allin. And right there, I was like, wow, Tully Blanchard managing Shawn Spears. Because when he wrestled Cody, he had Shawn Spears in his corner. I mean, Shawn Spears had Tully Blanchard in his corner. That's what I meant. And it made a lot of sense because, you know, the history between Tully Blanchard and Cody's father, Dusty Rhodes, they go way back from the feuds in the Four Horsemen, the national title matches to the TV titles in the early mid-80s, and their feud was legendary. Dusty Rhodes' feud with the Four Horsemen was legendary. So here we had Shawn Spears being managed by Tully Blanchard. Now, a lot of people may not have put mind to that at the time, and maybe they figured, well, you know, it's just Tully Blanchard. But during the match between Cody and Shawn Spears, I think it was All Out. And during that match, Arn Anderson interfered and spine busted Shawn Spears. Now, here I am, I'm saying to myself, wow, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, two guys who were the Four Horsemen. And you know, their motto back in the days, when you're a horseman, you live the style, you lived by the credo of the horseman. You know, finest clothes, finest limousine, you name it. These guys were the best back then. So here I am, and All Out, confused, like, wow, Tully Blanchard was managing Shawn Spears. What Arn Anderson has to do with this? And next thing you know, you have Arn Anderson managing, Cody. And this is way before the Full Gear where MJF turned on Cody. So now let's fast forward a little bit. So here comes Shawn Spears in his match, and I believe was Double or Nothing with Dustin Rhodes. And in that match, Dustin Rhodes tore the clothes out of Shawn Spears' back, and Shawn Spears had a Tully Blanchard's face in his trunk, in front of his trunks. In the following week, Tully had a promo where he lit a fire on Shawn Spears' ass and told him, how dare you embarrass me? I'm a legend in this business. Blah, blah, blah. He let Shawn Spears have it. He told him, if you don't want this, you don't want to be the best at what you do, then he don't want to waste his time. So at that time, I was like, wow, because Shawn Spears at that time was looking for a partner. Tully Blanchard was looking for a tag team partner, but it didn't happen. Shawn Spears then pretty much became a joke. He was just he fell off of the scene after he lost to Cody, and then when he lost to Dustin Rhodes on Double or Nothing. So now you had a situation. Now Tully Blanchard pissed off at Shawn Spears, asking him if he's serious about him being his manager or not. The following week, they showed that same promo that there was all over the viral. It was being viral all over the internet. And pretty much, then they showed Tully Blanchard entering a limousine with Shawn Spears in it and gave him a black glove. Now, many of you would be saying, what the hell the black glove has to do with the Four Horsemen? Well, let me give you another history lesson. Back in 1988, when Barry Windham turned on Dustin Rhodes, he started wearing his father's black glove, the Blackjack Mulligan used to use back in the days. And now we had, Barry Windham, part of the Four Horsemen, with his black glove, where he used it, he put a foreign object, made people bleed through his head. So, in this episode of AEW, Tully Blanchard went and gave Shawn Spears a black glove. I was like, clue number one. Does this have to mean that the Horsemen are going to get together? So, fine. The following week or 2 weeks later, FTR made their debut in AEW against Butcher and Blade. And who was in the audience taking notes? Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears looked like he was a little pissed off, sitting all the way in the back. And they were taking notes. And during the end of the match between FTR and Butcher and the Blade, before I think it's either before they got attacked or after they got attacked, I think it was Dashwood. They went and threw the Four Horsemen fingers up to the side by his ribs. And when I saw that, I said, wow. This is crazy. Am I seeing the Four Horsemen soon? So I figured you had Shawn Spears, you had FTR, and who's going to be the fourth member? So I remember that week I did my podcast, and I came up with a theory. I said, well, the only one that could fit in there, is Cody Rhodes. Being that Cody Rhodes is getting managed by Arn Anderson. Makes a lot of sense. The same week that the FTR threw the four fingers, so did Cody. And Cody said he wasn't the first pick. He wasn't the second pick. He wasn't even the third pick with Tony Khan call. He was the fourth, and he threw up the four fingers. If you don't believe me, go back to the episode 2-3 weeks ago. So now, when he said that, I said to myself, wow, I didn't notice until somebody brought it up to me. But then this week, again, here's Cody again doing another promo before his match against Ricky Starks. And he threw up the Four Horsemen sign up in the air after he said this. I don't know if I am part of the Elite or not. I hope I am. Now, if you've been looking at what's going on with Cody Rhodes has not been involved in any of the feud with the Inner Circle. I mean, in the beginning it was kind of, but then he kind of like floated off to his feud with MJF. Then he had the feud with Lance Archer. Then he had won the TNT Championship match. And last week, Jake Hager attacked him, and the Elite came out. But it was because they put Hager put his hands on Arn Anderson. Now, back in the days when the Four Horsemen, if you attacked J.J. Dillon, you was going to feel the wrath of the Four Horsemen. And Cody just went and attacked Jake Hager, knowing that Jake Hager is a beast in that ring. But he still went, and luckily the Elite came in and helped him, whatever. But this week he mentioned, if I'm still the Elite, which is kind of what I'm thinking was going on here, and what I told one of my friends today is this is the way I'm seeing it. Now, you figure right now, Cody is the TNT champion. Now, somewhere down the line between either here from Fyter Fest to All Out, something's going to happen where Cody is going to lose that TNT title. Now, this is my prediction, and it's just a prediction. And tell me if you guys, you can comment on this video and tell me if it makes sense or not. The way I'm looking at it is they will be a Four Horsemen, and the Four Horsemen will be Shawn Spears, FTR, and Cody Rhodes. And the good thing about that, the way I could see it happening is either Cody ends up losing the title to somebody, and then FTR ends up winning the AEW tag team titles from, I'm predicting their best friends are winning the belts in Fyter Fest. Something's going to happen between Adam Page and Omega that's going to explode. That's been looking to explode since Revolution. So they're going to be where Cody is going to be left pissed off because he lost his TNT title, and he's going to turn his back on the Elite. I can see, as far as the Elite is concerned, the Elite is only going to be Omega and the Young Bucks, because that was the original 3-man group when the Elite started, before that, when they were part of the Bullet Club. So I could see that happening. Hangman Page probably rolling on his own. Cody is going to be part of the Four Horsemen, and I believe it's going to be Tully and Arn Anderson are going to be the guys who are going to be involved in that. And it's going to be a new Four Horsemen. And I'm saying it right here. A lot of people are not talking about this. You're talking about Dave Meltzer's not talking about it. Brian Zapp is not talking about it. Ryan Satan is not talking about it. Other podcasters are not talking about it. I'm talking about it. Because I've been seeing this, and everybody's just like, oh, they can't be the Four Horsemen, because the Four Horsemen, you know, it was part of WCW and WWE. Well, I was one of the first guy who thought, well, they can't use that, the Four Horsemen, because WWE owns it. Well, WWE does not own it. And it turned out that last year, Conrad Thompson, the guy who does StarCast, went and filed a trademark for the Four Horsemen. And which makes a lot of sense, because if you do that, now you own the Four Horsemen, and now any wrestler will come up to you and say, look, I want to use the trademark of the Four Horsemen and whatever. There's even word that Tully Blanchard owns a piece of that trademark of the Four Horsemen. So now I could see WWE going to try to play themselves and say, oh, you can't use it because, or Ric Flair may say something, oh, they can't be the original. Well, guess what? Yeah, they may not be the original Four Horsemen. The original Four Horsemen is Ole, Arn, Tully, and Ric Flair. Those are the original Horsemen. And there was a lot of versions. Because after that, you had Lex Luger was part of that Horseman. You had Barry Windham part of the Horseman. You even had Sting as part of the Horseman. Sid Vicious, Paul Roma was part of the Horseman at one point. That's probably the weakest version there was. They had a lot of versions. I think one of the best Horseman versions I like was the Barry Windham, Tully and Arn and Ric Flair. They won all the belts in NWA WCW in 1988, and that's the group that's in the Hall of Fame in WWE. Okay, and the last version, which I wasn't too crazy about it, but you had Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, Ric Flair, and Mongo. Even though Mongo was a horrible wrestler. But, and I know Chris Benoit, people are like, oh, Chris Benoit, the killer. Listen, we're not talking about what he did, his personal life. We're talking about what he did in the industry. But the Four Horsemen will be back. And then a damn thing nobody could do about it. Nah, no WWE, no one. If AEW gets that Four Horsemen back together with those guys, Shawn Spears being like the Barry Windham, because Shawn Spears has all the tools to be a good wrestler. I mean, even though the guy's like 39 years old, but he was in WWE and they didn't know how to use him. They did not know how to use him. And him and Cody went coming up at the same time. And I believe it's Ohio Valley Wrestling, if I'm correct. And they know each other very well. So does the FTR. Those guys know Cody. They know Shawn Spears from the NXT days. So the way I look at it, it could happen. It could happen, and there's a damn thing no one can do about it. And the Four Horsemen will rise again from the ashes and will resurrect in AEW. It may not happen right away, but take a look. I'll be surprised if it doesn't happen. Because why would you be throwing up the four fingers up? And not up, but like to the side. Like, hey, look, a Four Horsemen. If they're not planning to do it. Remember, AEW, a lot of people claim AEW is it's a WCW wannabe. NWA is old school. Listen, I'm liking what I'm seeing. You know, there's certain little things that I don't like, especially with the The women's division. You keep bringing in women, and next thing you know, people are gonna complain about it. But right now, we're talking about what may happen. Another group. People are gonna be like, "Oh, there's too many groups. You got Dark Order. You got the Inner Circle. You got the Best Friends." And so what? Four Horsemen with that group: Shawn Spears, FTR, and Cody Rhodes. You can't beat that. You cannot beat that. And I'm surprised that no one is even talking about this. No one. No one hasn't mentioned it. No one, you know, AEW fan Facebook groups, pro wrestling Facebook groups. No, none. No one is talking about it. You know, but those Force Finger has been up in the last 3 weeks, and guys are not catching it. You're not catching it. You didn't catch it this week. You catch it when Cody is doing the promo. You can catch it the week after when Cody also threw up the forefinger while talking about how he was the fourth pick in AEW, and the win by FTR over Butch and the Blade, and then you see I think it was Dashwood or the other guy throwing into four fingers. The Horsemen, I will be back. And many of you may think I'm crazy. Many of you be like, you don't know what you talk about. Well, that's fine, but 98% of the time when I say something, it happens. It happens. I brought it up 2 weeks ago on my podcast when I was like, there could be a possibility on my audio podcast. I mentioned it, and here we are today talking about it because no one is talking about it. So why not be me, the first one, the Chokeslam Wrestling Report, bringing this up? An interesting situation that can make it very, very popular. You know, it makes AEW better. And, you know, you guys, I know a lot of you fans are going to be like, oh, they're biting off WWE. Sorry. That's not the situation. They can't buy from WWE if it was WCW and NWA first. And I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that WWE never trademarked the Four Horsemen group. They made a version which was Evolution, which was pretty good. Can't complain about Evolution. Evolution has some badasses with Ric Flair leading them. Then you had Fortune in Impact, which you had Kazarian, AJ Styles, Nigel McGuinness. Who was the other guy? Bobby Roode. I mean, they even threw in Christopher Daniels at one point. Fortune. But nobody's better than the Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen. The symbol of excellence. I keep saying it. It's the best group that I ever loved from the beginning. I think it was one of my favorite factions back in the 80s. Then the NWO came. I got hooked to that. And then Bullet Club. And I'm still a Bullet Club head. And I love Bullet Club. But the Four Horsemen to me is the group. The best faction ever. Ever. Because that group of the 1988 version was the best group ever. But now, Spears, Rhodes, and FTR. Remember I said it here first. Today, June 19, 2020. I said it here first. I want to thank everybody who just listened to this podcast. If you guys like what you heard, you like what you hear, leave me a comment at the bottom. Give me your thoughts. Tell me what you think what I'm talking about. You think I'm crazy. You think I don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine. Let's talk about it, you know. Hit that subscribe button, guys, because I'm always downloading videos. The last video I put was Mr. McMahon trying to demolish NXT. If you guys want to check that out, that's also there. I got tons of content in this channel. You guys could check it out. Put your head through there, look at it. You know, I would appreciate it. If you hit that notification bell for all uploads, hit that thumbs up so it could be my channel could be search or whatever I put up search engine. Find it faster. Let's talk. Let's see tell me what you think, guys. Leave me your comments. I will answer back. Again, you want to hear more of me. You want to check me out. My links on top. You can check the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter account, Anchor. You go in there. You find all my audio podcasts. All that's there. I'm also on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and all major podcasts that you guys like to listen to the audio podcast. But like I said, I'm on the YouTube channel today because I wanted to bring this up since no one is talking about it. I am very, very surprised that no one is talking about this. This is very interesting. See, sometimes you gotta You got to catch up on things that's happening. Because then when it happens, I don't want to hear like, oh, they're biting. No, because this was already thrown in your face. You know, it was already thrown in your face. There were signs. There were hints. All kinds of stuff that was there. So you guys can check it out. Like I said, check out the last 2 episodes of AEW. If you guys got TNT app, check it out. The Four Horsemen sign has been thrown for the last 3 weeks. So with that, guys, I thank you very much for listening to my podcast and hope that you enjoyed it. Like I said, subscribe to the channel, get all the uploads. This podcast brings you only facts. I'm not bringing you anything that my opinion. Opinions, everybody has it. Everybody has it. Everybody has one. And you're entitled to your opinion. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the trolls who think they know everything and don't know diddly squats. But I'm here to bring you all the facts. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll tell you I'm wrong. Like the fact that I've said a couple of weeks ago that WWE trademarked this when it's not true. Conrad Thompson owns the trademark of the Four Horsemen. And I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait for this. Cannot. So until then, guys, enjoy your day or enjoy your evening. Be safe. Social distancing. Be well. Have a good night.